And I want to talk about this street theater thing, and a lot of people have situations where they're being followed around, and um, personally, I believe the different color cars and the one headlights thing. I just think that's maybe a coincidence, and um, I don't think that anybody would drive around with one headlight intentionally, and I don't think that gang stalkers could take it so far as to all buy the same color car, but it's possible. It is possible. I just don't think. I think that's part of the paranoia that they instill with the situation that you're faced with. But the following people around and stuff like that, it is something that happens. And gang stalkers, back in the beginning of 2016, when they first started like really gang stalking me, um, like with artificial telepathy and everything, then there was a bunch of them following me around. They all had different kind of cars, um, but they were definitely all following me, and I couldn't lose them. I couldn't shake them, and I'm like a NASCAR driver. I'm good at driving, and you're not gonna catch up with me like that. But they would anyway. They would always. I would end up, finally away from everybody, and the next thing you know, here they are. Like 6 cars were chasing me one day, all around everywhere. So. Um, but it got to be a dangerous situation with that, and they stopped following me around in person after we had some pretty nasty run-ins. But it's really a broadcast thing with remote neural monitoring, and the street theater things can happen. But a lot of people think that their thoughts are being broadcasted to everybody around them, and that can't happen really firsthand. Okay, somebody could be connected to you. All right, but if they're connected to you, they're not wearing the mind control headset, okay, which is like an amplifier that allows them to know everything that you're thinking. Your thoughts are emitted right into their minds. So they might be able to receive a little bit, but nobody's that good. Nobody's that good at this. Sometimes I can kind of catch what they're thinking, but it's even hard then to decipher what's your thoughts and what's theirs. So it doesn't work like that, okay? But let me tell you how it does work. Gang stalkers, somewhere there's somebody connected to you with a mind control headset on that has your thoughts emitted into their mind. All right, and then they have something set up with somebody else that could be around you with artificial telepathy, and they're telling them what you're thinking, everything that you're thinking. So it's it's like a third party. It has to go through somebody else. They can't know what you're thinking. A lot of people get very confused with that and think that all these people around me, they know what I'm thinking. But that's not true. The only way they can know for sure what you're thinking is that they have somebody talking to them with artificial telepathy that's connected to you. So there's always a third party involved that's not around you because they have to have the mind control headset on. Um, the girl that has me on neural monitoring, I knew what was going on, and it'd be like not long after the beginning, and I was trying to get her to give it to me, like, give me the neural monitoring, and she would be like, "Oh, it's just not real, Kevin. Get help, Kevin." She just, that's what they all say. Um, when you're targeted, they're never going to give you the neural monitoring. You're going to have to get it yourself. And they're going to try everything they can with hacking and destroying your life and making you look crazy to keep you from getting it because they've targeted you and they've broadcasted to you and stuff like that. So they're going to go out of their way by any means to make sure that you don't get it. In a lot of cases, they've been involved with all kinds of mind control orgies, and some of these girls will be sleeping with or having sex with 10 or 20 guys at a time in a day, on mind control. And so a lot of times their body's laying there like a dead body while they're on broadcast, and just everybody's just having their way with it. And they're not going to let you see that. They're not going to let you get a hold of that because you're not an evil person. And you're going to say, what the is really going on with all of this, and it's on your neural monitoring. So they're going to go way out of their way to keep you from getting it. And in my case, a lot of these kids that they gave access to neural monitoring are underage. Some of them were as young as like 12 years old or maybe even less, and some of them even now are like 14 and 15, and this has been going on for years. So there's no way, after they've been gang stalking me and try to have me murdered and everything else, that they're going to let me end up with access to something that shows them being gangbanged by a bunch of 14-year-olds. That's not going to happen. So I'm going to have to find a way to get it myself. They'll never give it to me. They'll never give it to me. But so when I would be with her and I was trying to get her to give me the neuromonitoring, and she's pretending or whatever. So the way artificial telepathy works is it's a form of mind control. And when somebody's talking to you and it's out loud, okay, but you can only hear it. Only you're going to be able to hear it if it's on your channel. So it's out loud. Um, you tend to want to talk along with the person because it's a broadcast straight to your mind. So they're talking and you're talking along with them. And I remember in the beginning, James would be talking, Black James would be talking to me, and I would be talking along with him, and he would say, "I can talk for myself, Kevin." And I'm like, okay. I mean, it's hard not to talk along with somebody when they're talking to you with artificial telepathy, and you have to learn over time to shut up while somebody's talking. And you know, it's coming to your mind, so you tend to want to talk along with them. So a lot of times what you'll see is gang stalkers talking like, they're talking under their breath. They can't help it. A lot of people have a real problem, and I had a problem with it at first, and over time you learn to break off. It's frustrating too because you feel like you're being mind controlled, and it's like, I don't like that, you know. But you learn to break off from it. But in the beginning, you know, I would be trying to get her to give me the neural monitoring. Somebody would be on my channel connected to me and telling her what I'm thinking and what's going on. So I would see her looking like she's talking to herself. And, you know, it would, and sometimes when they would be talking to me, I could see her reaction. So she could hear what they were saying to me, but I couldn't hear what they were saying to her, and that's just how they had it set up on the settings. So, but I would see her talking along with them, and she couldn't break off really that good. So, you know, that's the way that they can know what you're thinking. You know, I remember the last time I was at her house, and we were involved sexually, and Antoine had a broadcast standing next to us, like watching. I guess he was doing a live stream of us. So he's standing next to us, but he's talking to her, but I couldn't hear him because he was only, I could see his broadcast. You know, it looked like a ghost, but I could see him, but I couldn't hear him because he wasn't on my channel. He was only on her channel. All right, and she looked up and said, "I love fucking all of y'all." And then she looked at me like, "Oh God, I just said that shit out loud." And she covered her face up and shook her head. And this was during, you know, and I was like, "What the, for real?" So, you know, Antoine was one of these gang stalkers where they shot at me from his house last April, and he's been involved since at least 2015, but I suspect he's been involved longer than that. And I talked about yesterday on a video where um, she's got at least 3 of my close friends from back in the day. My best friend in life, he moved away to another state about 6 years ago, and they broadcasted him, his hologram, and they've used his voice. So I know they have him on remote neural monitoring, and I haven't seen him in 6 years. So I'm thinking that I had been on at least that long. And then 2 other guys that I haven't seen since probably 2002, since, you know, just about when high school. And they've got those 2 guys, I believe she does. She's got those 2 guys on remote neural monitoring, and she was using their broadcast. And that was like about a year and a half ago that they did that. But, you know, that tells me that it's possible that she's had me on neural monitoring since back then, when I used to hang around those guys. They were guys from my neighborhood and guys I went to school with, my close friends back then. So, okay. So, yeah, that's just some of the ways that it works. But with the street theater, when they're around you, you know, they have to be on the mind control headset to be able to know what you're thinking. So everybody around you doesn't know what you're thinking. You're not broadcasting to them. You can be broadcasting indirectly to them, third party, from somebody telling them, but that person has to be on a mind control headset to be telling them what you're thinking, and that's the only way that they can know. So there is some limitations to what they can do, and we just have to be aware of exactly how that works. So these people all get together, and that's why it's called gang stalking, because they get together in groups to do this to people. And you know, it takes more than one person to really pull off a good gang stalking scenario, especially with the street theater. But all of these people have access to neural monitoring, and they all have mind control headsets. Um, I was walking yesterday, and I seen one of these guys that I know. I've seen him many a times, and I know he's on my neural monitoring. He's walking, and he kept looking over his shoulder like I was a threat to him or something like that, because they're nervous because um, they've been on my neural monitoring for years, right? And I believe he had his mind controlled in his little bag, but I ain't sweating it. Do what you do. Do what you do. He likes to play little porch-like games, just like Marcus, and brag that he's on my neural monitoring. But it's all going down eventually. So, um, I don't attack people. I'm not going to do anything dumb. So, but I see you, and I know you're one of them. All right. So, and I can tell that you're a little bit nerve-wracked that you done ran up on me in person. Um, but I live around these people, so there's no way that they're all just gonna never see me. I mean, that's how I've learned a lot of this stuff over the years. It's because I know half of these people, and because I live around a lot of them, and I've been able to record them on artificial telepathy and all kinds of stuff. And I've actually caught people with the mind control headset. So, it's not a myth, and this isn't some theory of mine. If it's a theory, I'll tell you that's what I think, but I'm not sure. But if I'm sure, I'll tell you I'm sure. And as far as the street theater and how that works with them being able to read your thoughts, I'm sure they have to have the headset on. And if they don't have the headset on, then if they know your thoughts and they don't have the headset, then they've got somebody on the headset somewhere connected to you telling them what you're thinking. And that's how it works. So anyway, I got to go to work, y'all.